Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the No Laying Up podcast. Solly here. Got my guy, TC, here. What up, TC? How are you?
Hey, Solly. I'm great. I got some allergies going. I'm not, in fact, crying after Peter Malnati's win. They're
This,
allergies. Okay.
this is one of those that back before we had a No Laying Up podcast YouTube channel, nobody would have been able to see what you look like right now. And you look like death. I'm just going to say it right now. Give people a little bit more incentive to go subscribe to our No Laying Up podcast YouTube channel, which is brand new. Big Randy is here as well. Hello, Mr. Big.
Hey guys, happy to be here. Crappy weather out here in Denver. It's like 40 degrees and raining hard. So nice diversion from anything else I'd be doing right now.
The No Layup podcast is, of course, brought to you by our friends at Titleist, the tee to green choice of your 2024 Valspar champion, Peter Malnati. It starts with the golf ball. Peter was in full control of his Pro V1X. More than
Yellow Pro V1X.
That is exactly right. More than 71% of the field were playing a Titleist golf ball this week in Tampa. 71% were not playing a yellow golf ball. But with Peter's victory, the Pro V1 and Pro V1X players now have won 12 of the first 13 events to start the PGA Tour season. Off the tee, Peter uses the tour's favorite driver, the Titleist TSR3, which he used to gain nearly 3.5 strokes on the field. He's got a blended set of T-Series irons, starting with the T204 iron, going to a T155 iron, and T100s in the 6 through 9 iron. That is truly a blended set.
Huh.
He added the T150 at the start of this year, looking for a little more height and forgiveness with his 5 iron, and that is the club that he used on the par 3 17th on Sunday, hitting his tee shot to 6 feet for birdie. He's also got 4 new SM10 wedges in the bag, the 48-degree F grind, the 52 F grind, the 56 M grind, and the 60 T grind. To finish it off, he gained over 8 shots on the field with his Scotty Cameron masterful 1.5 putter. Best players in the world are precisely fit for their golf ball in every single part of their bag. Head to Titleist.com to learn more and find a fitting near you. TC, even you had to be a little choked up in the post-round interview with Peter Malnati today. Come on, give me something.
It was a good win, man. It was a good win. The birdie on 17 was extra strong. Hits a great shot into 18. And then, yeah, you know what? It means a lot. He had some quotes pre-round, or I'm not sure if they were pre-round or post-round yesterday, about how he didn't think he could legitimately win a tournament in like the last 8 or 9 years. Which, if that's the case, what are we doing out there, guys? Like, but no, I'm happy for Peter. He's a goober. He kind of feels like the mascot for the PGA Tour, but it's feel good. He works hard. He's playing really good golf too. Like that's a real golf course. Like you have to hit actual shots. It's not a dog shit putting contest. You gotta work the ball both ways. You gotta drive it well. You gotta chip well, small greens. So anyway, my hat's off to Peter. That was a proper win.
Big Randy, were you moved by today?
Yeah, it's nice to see somebody show emotion, right? All jokes aside, it obviously means a ton to Peter, and that came through in his post-round interview there on the green after winning. And so I think that's wonderful. A lot like TC said, he can be a bit of of a goober or whatever you want to call
a
it.
quote goober, as I think what TC was reporting earlier.
Yeah. But hey, this week was always going to be a letdown after the players, and so for this ending and for Peter and to see how much this win meant for him, like of course it's nice.
I mean, it in like the from the overall stage that was the players, no matter what, it was going to be a letdown for what the Valspar is and should be. I did not think this was a letdown. I think this was a good Sunday. The golf was really weird today. Not a lot of great golf. I know it was blustery out there. The conditions were not easy out there for really for the entire week. But there's just so many bad shots going around. And Malnati played an excellent round of golf, man. He bogeyed the 4th hole, but birdie on 6, birdie on 10, 11, and 12, and then that dope birdie on the 17th hole. In that little stretch there, he dead topped a ball on the 5th hole from the middle of the fairway. And then I forget which hole it was that he had a putt for birdie that he closed his eyes and looked away thinking he hit such a bad putt, and it went right in the middle of the cup. So it was It was a full performance, but I don't know. I got a little, I have to admit, I got a little choked up in his post round interview just with his kids there and all that stuff. It was, I don't know. There's still a lot of room for that on the PGA Tour. This doesn't change a whole lot. I have read a couple takes saying that this, this should change things for how the PGA Tour does things. I'm got a long ways to go before I get there, but come on, man, that was cool.
We've had, I mean, God knows, everybody listening knows that we've had nothing but cynicism and skepticism and pessimism over the last, you know, 24, 36, 48 months, and maybe not that far, but yeah, it was nice. It's nice to have a win that truly means something like this to somebody.
Randy, listen, I'll add a little bit of pessimism and cynicism here in that, like, this is like Jay Monahan and Ed Hurley's lapdog winning. I mean, him or Webb, right?
Uh, sure, but he still won,
But he did
you
it.
know?
He won. He did it. Yeah. And Solly, I'll give him some credit on the top on 5. He topped it to 130 yards out in the middle of the fairway.
It's a
I mean,
great
it
number.
was
It's a
it
great
was
number.
a great number. That's a really tough second shot, like straight up this hill. That place, if you've never been there, it is such a like you feel like you're in the Midwest or something. You do not feel like you're in
It
Florida
never
at any
looks like
point.
Florida on television.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be Minnesota, it could be outside of Chicago, it could be I mean, it kinda reminds me more of, like, Medina or, Olympia Fields than it does anything I've seen in Florida, and a lot of hardwoods, but just the way that the land moves up and down those kinda big dunescapes there, it's, like, that whole number 5, like, that is straight up a massive hill there, so, you can't fake it around there. You gotta hit real golf shots.
I'm kind of blown away looking at Malnati's numbers. He was 4th in strokes gained off the tee this week. He is a way worse driver of the golf ball than I ever would imagine. He's not accurate or long. He is like massively deficient off the tee, which has clearly held him back for a long time. Dude, guys, I was absolutely dying at the memes after the round. Garrett Morrison's tweet absolutely rocked me. Just the meme of Malnati to Cantlay in the next policy board meeting. Put that coffee down. Coffee is for closers. That was just fucking got me so good.
So Malnati, did he spend Monday in the presence of the cat, Eldrick, and then takes the tour plane or takes one of the NetJets planes over to Innisbrook and feels inspired after the player meeting with Yasser, with HE, your guy, Randy.
There were some good memes, Solly. It was yours, right? The wire scene,
Yeah.
price of what was it? Price of a brick's going up. I saw a few wire things. Listen, it was a fun to poke fun at him. I liked we can get into this. I know we are going to get into this, but I enjoyed KVV's tweet. If anybody didn't see that, he said the mules heard the wolves wanted to have them euthanized and they did not like it. No wonder the wolves want to close off the fields before they're exposed as sheep getting fat, with Scotty the exception.
I'm wondering how many wolves there actually are. This might be like, Yellowstone when we need to reintroduce some
I'm with
wolves
you, TC.
back in there.
I mean, Solly, what's up with your boy Cam Young?
Let's get to that. He was why is he my boy? Also, I don't even I'm not sure where we could trace this
You
one
and
back to.
Manfred and the whole
Oh,
MLB
okay.
and yeah.
Just because I'm back in on baseball, I
Exactly.
have to be in on Cam Young
Bam
as well.
tech.
So he's 1 under on the front 90, birdied 11, 12, and 14, but made bogey on the last. What'd you think of his decision? Hit driver off 18. I couldn't quite find what he hit in the earlier parts of this week. He was hitting at about 290 off the tee on most holes, but when he pulled driver there, I was just a little bit like, huh, okay. I mean, he's really going for this. Pulls it way left, ends up getting it on the green, but 3-putting from over 50 feet on the final hole. Did that seem like the right play to you guys?
When you look at that one, it looks like with his length, he can hit it past all the bunkers on the left, and he just tugged it. I feel like 3-wood actually leaves him more exposed to both the bunkers on the left and like you do not want to be in those bunkers on the right. Those are completely boned. So you kind of want to challenge the ones on the left. They're almost like church P bunkers on the right.
It looks like he did pull driver each of the first 3 days. He had 176, 173, 173 ball speed on the So it looks like he did do
And he
that all
was
4
number
days.
1 in strokes gained off the tee for the week.
Yeah.
Like, dance with who brought you, right? I mean, that's
And he needed
you know,
birdie. He didn't know it at the time, but like
yeah.
he probably was thinking like, dude, I need
Yeah.
to make a birdie here. Par puts me behind the 8 ball.
When our boys on NBC, I apologize. I don't know if it was Fax or I'm losing track of who's in that analyst
Like half a
chair.
dozen of them
Yeah.
in the booth.
But they were like, "Oh, great driver." You know, when the conditions get tough, just pull your best, most reliable club, and then he double crosses it and sends it way left. That was chef's kiss stuff right there.
Actually hit a really good shot to
He did. I thought he
get it
was
on
going
the
to be
green.
dead for sure. Yeah. But that made me chuckle. So yeah, I think it's probably the right club. Just a bad swing. It happens,
I
but
was
suspiciously, it why is it happening on the 72nd hole? I think that's what we got to get into.
Keppel Mark said, did anyone think Cameron Young was actually going to win? Just never looks like he's going to get it done. It's his 7th runner-up finish, 8th runner-up finish now on the PGA Tour without a win.
That many?
I thought I read 7.
Wow. I mean, and on a week where he putted well, you know, he was 2.5 shots up for the week on the greens, you know, positive strokes gained there. It's you know, yeah, it didn't really look like it was gonna be, hey, I'm gonna run away and hide here. It's just
Here's his runner-ups are to Sam Burns twice, to Joaquin Niemann, to Max Homa, to Cam Smith, and to Tony Finau, and now Peter Malnati. That's from Max Shriver on or Matt
those
Shriver
are
on.
that's a murderer's row right there.
It is.
You know, all he needs is maybe to lose to Tommy when Tommy gets one done.
I was gonna say I was waiting for see how careful TC was on this one. Just did not want to present any incriminating evidence. We've all heard the Finau case. You know, lawyers are going to be using the information presented there for years. In that
I
case.
think I was more I think I was more concerned with his leaving the putt so short on 18. And then, you know, obviously, you know, he 3 putts, but he leaves the putt, what, 10 feet short? Yeah, 9 feet. He had a 51-foot putt, left it 9 feet short, and then missed that one, which is tough, but, you know, ended up not needing it. So
I would have been a little bit more concerned had he been playing in the same group as Peter, and and Peter essentially stared him down and went and won it. You know, I think it's a little different when they're in separate groups.
yeah, I mean, Cam shot 69, 69, 68, 68. Like, had 3 birdies. You know, he birdied 11, 12, and 14 on the back today. And, like, played good golf.
Yeah, gained 3.3 shots on the field today. It was not that he didn't play a good final round. He just keeps ending up one shot short, and it wasn't like if that bogey would have, you know, if Malnati doesn't birdie 17, that does look a whole heck of a lot worse. But Malnati stepped up and hit the shot, man. He did. Beast Mode Jacob said, "Is there a tier in between Mule and Thoroughbred that we can put Cam Young in?" I can't figure him out. I can't figure out where
there's
to put
a lot
him.
of tiers there.
Yeah.
You know,
There's no one that should be this talented that doesn't win. Like he is, like he has to be the most talented player. I guess this question for you, TC. Who's the most talented player to have not won a PGA Tour event?
TC.
well, Zalatoris hasn't either, right?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
He won Memphis.
Willie won.
Oh, that's okay.
TC, as you think about it, I'll buy you a little time there. I feel like we got to start. I feel like the category is maybe a dressage horse. You know, somebody that looks good, prances around, but you know, what
warm blood.
what are we doing?
You guys, I think the most talented player is Tommy.
Okay.
Right? I think, you know, he's got BDEs all over the world. He just hasn't gotten it done. I don't. We're not going to do this tonight, okay?
We
We're not
didn't
going to do
sign
this
up
tonight.
for this. We didn't sign up for this.
Eat and Sleep Golf said likelihood that Cam Young does a Duval sometime soon. Waits and waits and waits, then a flurry of wind once he gets the first one out of the way.
That'd be awesome. What, Duval won like 4 in a row or something at one point? Or he won 4 that like in short order, right?
He won a ton in 99, I think it was. So 97 he won October 12th, October 19th, and November 2nd for his first 3 wins. And then peeled off one in February of 98, May of 98, August 98, and October of 90. I mean, God, that dude won 13 times in a little over 4 years and then never won again.
I think
I don't
Cam's
see it
putter
with Cam.
just, yeah.
He drives it so
Really
good. He hits his irons really well. He's not a bad putter. He just like doesn't have the flukish freak weeks, man. He definitely goes in the Xander category of that 1 8-footer that you need to have. It's just not going in. Like it's just not. Like that one putt that you need, it just is not going in.
Yeah, but you look at Hideki, he's kind of in that Hideki category too of like really good driver, really good ball striker. He just never looks comfortable over the putts either. Like they don't look. It's just not a fluid stroke. But
Should Cam play the Myrtle Beach event? I think that's what I would call on him to do. He might need to drop down the level and try to get a win.
That's interesting. Is this not count as dropping down a level to play this event?
No, I wouldn't consider this.
this is thoroughly like a mid-tier event.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Myrtle Beach,
I think this is
Barbasol, that's what I mean by dropping down.
Yeah.
But if there's 2 tiers, this is a second tier event, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
But this
okay.
isn't
3
like an
tiers.
agree. I would say there's 3
Yeah.
tiers.
Okay.
Really.
That's
Like
fair.
there's 2 tours and then there's like a third tour of like tournaments that do not need to exist anymore. Punta Cana, Myrtle Beach, Barbasol.
You got to kill the
Some of
Sanderson.
those. Nah, I don't mind the Sanderson.
Peter won the Sanderson. That's what I'm saying. I think some of these guys, maybe we drop down, find our level, get some wins, and then we'll reintroduce them. TC.
Kind of what Big Tone did, right?
These wolves, they're not used to these wild environments. We got to raise them a little bit and then start reintroducing them.
So this is basically the 5th weakest field of a PGA Tour event so far this year, ahead of Sony, Cognizant, Mexico, and Puerto Rico, just behind Farmers, Amex, Waste Management of all. So
That
it's
tracks.
mid-tier of the mid-tier, right? Of the non.
I would say by the end of the season, by the end of the regular season, this will be top half of the lower tier.
Yeah,
Like this
I think
goes
that's fair.
firmly ahead of 3M and John Deere, and
Can we address something that I want to address? I saw this trickling through after the round of just like, this is why full field events matter. This is why like things should not change on the PGA Tour. What does this possibly change about anything? This is a reflection of a tour that has these limited events, right? That has all these other limited events, which is supposed to have this kind of trickle down effect to getting stronger players in these non-elevated signature events, whatever. The PGA Tour schedule still has a ton of full field events. This is one of them. Like it's not going to rate very well. Like I don't know how great for business that all this is, but it exists, right? If you're a fan of this exists today. It existed last year. It existed the year before, and it's going to exist in some form and fashion in the future. I don't get this like pretending that this kind of thing is going to go away. Can somebody help me with that?
feels a little bit straw manny. Yeah, like hey, like nobody's saying that the Valspar needs to be 50 guys or 70 guys.
No,
right?
literally nobody is saying that.
Yeah.
There's going to be like the limited field events, and there's going to be these ones.
Well,
right?
I guess
like, I think
I'll be the public defender here because I do believe it a little bit. It's like why can't? What's the point of the signature event? I know it's like we got to get the best of the best together. We got to try to like artificially guarantee a good, exciting leaderboard. And I'm not. That doesn't carry a ton of water with me. I guess when we see, guys who are supposedly cream of the crop, like they just don't show up that often. Scheffler's doing his thing, and besides that, it's tough to find many guys that are deserving of these signature events, these closed events.
you kind of made the point for it right there. Of like, yeah, you're getting all the best players in the world together and artificially creating a good leaderboard. That literally is the point, right? Like, I don't know how I don't know how to refute that. You kind of made the point for us there. But
no, I guess my thing is like, do they need that much help? I'd rather like the best of the best just play well week in and week out.
There's
right?
too. I think
there's
almost too much parity at this point, right? There's no dogs anymore. There's no dogs and killers. I think it's one of those things where I think Solly or really Randy, your point of the like, why do we need these? If the tour is not going to differentiate them and do anything to make them feel elevated and distinct, then I think that question becomes a lot more important and a lot louder. Where I think if they did, I think you can put together a really good tournament with 70 guys and focus on those guys and have twosomes and make it feel hey, this feels like a big ass deal. I think you can do that a lot more easily with 70 guys than you can with 144 guys, just from an operational perspective. But the tour is not making those extra steps to differentiate and, improve the product and make it feel big and make it feel like, hey, you know what? Like the setups and all sorts of factors go into this. And, even like the TV broadcast and CBS has done it a little bit, but like the players, like, all right, NBC, like you should be treating your signature events like the players. Like the TV product should feel like that. And they're not.
Yeah, and I guess again, if you look back at the signature events this year, we had Wyndham Clark win in 54 holes, which like Ludwig was probably going to run him down if they had another day to play there. We had Hideki
That's
shoot a
big of you to say. Thank
final.
you.
We're on the same team there with Ludwig TC. Come on, we established that. Hideki shot a final round 63 to go run away with the Genesis, and then number one player in the world won two of them. Like it's kind of it hasn't we the JTs, the Rorys, the Spieths have not played good enough, and that's kind of like I thought at this point though those guys like the JT and Spieth side is carrying more star power than they are great golf at this point, like in terms of Q rating. Whereas like I don't know, it's tough to look. I look back at last year too with the signature events; those did carry those did
Yeah.
produce some fantastic leaderboards and fantastic events up through the Masters, really. So I don't know. I also just don't want to downplay the whole thought of like getting all these guys to stop cherry picking these events and like no, you're all essentially going to play them. Sure, one or two guys are going to miss one or two of these, but like it's I left out Chris Kirk winning the first one. That's my bad. But it's still that's still really valuable to say like no, we are going to isolate these events. They're going to be more money, more points, and you're all going to play them. It's still like the best thing the PGA Tour can offer. I really do think that's the best thing they can offer.
I guess I just don't feel I think some of the criticism that I've read, and I think it's a little fair. I know the tour is trying to have turnover in the fields of these signature events, but I just don't think there's maybe enough turnover or there's so much parity beyond a dozen guys that it feels a little closed off artificially. I think that's what makes me a bit uncomfortable is you're talking about guys bringing star power, but the results aren't really matching, and that's where I'm like, well, then what are we doing? Because I like golf being a true meritocracy, and I know it's not like the truest of true meritocracies, but I do feel like if you play well enough and can get in a tournament and then you go win, like good on you. And I
Here's
I don't
here's
know.
what other than the sponsor exemptions though, Randy, it is a meritocracy. Like you qualify through your golf scores. Like that's you got to shoot the scores to get in the tournaments. You had to do it last year. You got if you
Yeah.
want the swing five or whatever. Like it's not
The
a
Aeon
close.
Swing 5.
Yeah. And again, I'm not gonna put you on the spot on this, Randy. But like for anyone that follows that logic, I'm dead serious. I want to know. Like, give me the five names that are like shut out of these events that like it's diminishing this event. You
I
know what I mean? Like if I just look at it, it's like Lee
Yeah. I do
Hodges.
think there's gonna be enough turnover to like I'm looking at it right now. Like there's dog shit at telling the story, but like Keith Mitchell right now, he's 58th FedEx Cup this year. Like a good finish would have gotten him inside the top 50. Like he's like these guys, they need to do a better job of telling the story of these middle guys that are trying to get, bump up from 70th or 80th into the, you know, 45, 48, 49. Like I think that top 50 number, building that context and telling that story is a big thing. And again, like I'm not sure if you guys saw the thing that the PGA Tour put up on NBC yesterday, before the golf started.
I
unfortunately I
missed.
did TC.
I was like, my parents were in town, and I actually said, "Hey guys, I need you to wait in the other room because I need to watch this programming before the Valspar." Is what happened.
What was it called?
An hour on network television called Credentialed, which essentially was just like recapping the Bay Hill. And it was so oddly placed. I'm like, who's watching this? Somebody's watching this, like getting jacked to watch Bay Hill, right? And then it's like, oh no, we're actually at Valspar.
It was one
Okay,
of the most pointless pieces of programming I've ever seen before. And
yes,
they
yes.
probably had dozens and dozens and dozens of hours of meetings at the global home to talk about this, and it figure out the storytelling element of all this. Meanwhile, the LPGA has to buy network TV time, and they're throwing this on at
And
1 or
they can't
2
even get
p.m. on
a
a
third hour on Golf Channel yesterday because of the damn Champions Tour, and then they ran late and stayed well. God, we can talk about that. Solly, I think to your point, I'm not sure if there are 5 individually. I'm not sure week to week there are individual people that are like missing or that anybody would like to see. I think it's the idea of if you have the larger fields, it gives somebody a chance to have a career week, get a win at a big event, which could propel them on to bigger and better things.
But I feel like there's what, 20 or 25 of those tournaments for those guys to do that? Like,
That's where I'm
Malnati
at.
just did that,
Yeah.
right? So he gets into the other ones. I feel
Yes.
like if you give those guys an opportunity to do it, I don't know. I have no issue with, like, the 2 different tours thing now. I just tighten up the exemptions a little bit more and tell us, "All right, this is what something means." I know they're working out kinks and Tyler Dennis has all of his computer models going in the back office and all that, but, it may take a little bit of time, but I think if you're gonna have a cut, like, you can have 100 guys then, right? Like, it's like, what's the right number? Is it 70? Is it 100? Is it 140? I think having 100 dudes, that's a perfect golf tournament size.
Would you give up everybody going off the first tee for 30 more spots?
What's
Do
the
you think?
limit there?
I don't know. It depends on the time of year, right? I mean, as we get
Yeah.
later and later in the year now, you have more of a window there. But that's a non-zero factor for me. Big is getting everybody off one.
On Thursday and Friday?
Yeah, I mean, flipping on Thursday, Friday coverage, everybody coming down the final stretch instead of flipping between both sides of the golf course. That everybody, I don't know, they lose track of guys way more on Thursday, Friday. I don't know, that's a separator for me. I don't think like you should. A lot of these courses, I think that the finishing stretch is meant to be the finishing stretch for a reason.
Somebody put the idea out there of if you miss the cut in one of these designated or signature events that has a cut, like Bay Hill or Memorial or Riv, then you can't tee it up in the next signature event.
That was me.
That was you?
That was neat.
That's
That was
so
me who
sick.
threw
I'm
that out
like,
there.
I could not be more in on that, Randy. Like, there needs to be downside risk too.
I mean, obviously it was a joke when I it was Bay Hill week when I tweeted that, but I agree with you. Like if you're gonna reap the upside rewards, then have a little bit of downside risk too.
Like, just got to throw this in there. If you're going to
We're
ask
doing this
companies,
to get the best players.
if you're that's one, and two, if you're going to ask companies for 25 million bucks and you find out Rory missed the cut the week before and isn't playing your event, might be a little difficult to get that 5% escalator in that next year, in the next contract or whatever that would be. Just again, business reasons why a lot of this stuff happened. It has to at least get mentioned, whether or not I agree with you. Big. It's just
I I have no confidence in NBC being able to
no.
elevate certain events. So I guess what I would ask is what's the opposite of elevate? I'm
Diminish?
drawing a blank.
Or
Yeah, I think NBC needs to diminish then certain events. Like we have to create some
why would they
separation. I think
diminish
that's the only
stuff
way
even
we're going
more
to
than
do
they're
it.
currently diminishing
I
it?
was gonna say, I think they did that.
I know.
It just makes me, the whole thing is, I'm comfortable with the current ish structure. They got to have some tweaks and elevating. And it's important because when you're choosing what to wear, we want to look polished and we want to be comfortable. That's why our doer jeans have become part of our daily wardrobe rotation. I wear these all day. I look sharp in them, whether or not I'm just lounging around the house or if you're out doing something, some kind of activities. I've been wearing nothing but sweatpants for like all week. I was like, you know what? Yesterday, I'm going to put a pair of jeans on, right? And within 30 seconds, I forgot I even had like a somewhat formal pair of jeans on. They're so comfortable to lay around the
Stretchy.
house. They're fantastic. I have the
Yeah.
performance denim in my doer in the rinse color and the slim fit. I also love their no sweat pant, which are fantastic. They are that nice dark blue jean color. They look really sharp. You're going to want to own your own pair of doer jeans. You are going to love them. They're durable, flexible, without sacrificing comfort or style. Plus, they're antibacterial. It means less washing. They're made of temperate regulating fabrics for all day and all weather comfort. And doer clothing is sustainably crafted to last, so they'll be a staple in our closets for years to come. We know you'll love doer jeans just as much as we do. Order your pair today. Check out Doer's flagship store in LA or Denver, or shop online at shopdoer.com/NLU. Our listeners are getting 20% off site-wide when you use our special URL. That's shopdoer.com, shopdoer.com/NLU. Don't wait, 20% off now. Shopdoer.com/NLU.
Yeah, I'm aware I'm to Scotland this week, Solly.
Are you really?
Feel me? I am.
I do.
I am.
Tough Sunday for our guy Keith Mitchell. As you mentioned, TC, he had a 77 to finish off today.
Yeah.
Tough.
I hated it. I
know.
hated it. He shot 40 on the front 9. Then he bogeyed 10, bogeyed 12, doubled 13, and then he eagled 14
That was sick.
and birdied 18 as well. So tough go of it for Keith. He's starting to poke his head out though. He's playing some good golf.
It's some interesting comments. He's talking about. He said this offseason he had a team meeting because my strokes gain approach relative to the field was very poor. There's some skews in there relative to your driving, but it still shouldn't be that poor. I was technically losing my card almost every year in strokes gain approach. It's just unacceptable out here, especially when I had the technique to do it if I can hit my driver like I do. So it was all distance control. I learned that. Fortunately, I hate that it took this long, but it's better late than never. Just something to flag.
Sounds like me 3 or 4 years ago.
That's
Like,
exactly
I
that's what I
met
had
with
in
my
there.
team.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? We're not going to practice. What can we do that's going to make it to where we're just going to raise our floor? And it was distance control on the irons. I'm being dead serious. And so, I'm glad Keith and the team figured that out as well.
I know he's listening in his car. Probably Whole High Pie would love this part of the conversation. Our guy DJ's, he's always whole high, but it has always confounded me how Keith can be such a great driver of the ball and not be, not even be average in strokes gained approach or in approach play. So just wanted to flag that in terms of if he really does have his approach numbers figured out and whatnot, he's going to strike again. He's going to have a really good chance. He had an incredible back nine.
5 years for him?
Yeah, his last one was 2018 Honda. Win? Yeah. He on Saturday he was 4 under par or 3 under par, leaving the 6th green on Saturday. Birdied 7, birdied 12, birdied 14, finished birdie eagle, hold out from the fairway on 18 to shoot 29 on the back, shoot 66, and take a 2-shot lead into the final round. But he had put the left miss in play, also like TC on that final round. Him and Seamus Power. I'm hoping the Irish are reaching out to you to apologize for Seamus Power's final round performance, TC.
Yeah, especially after Seamus, did his interview with Paul Kimmage in the was it the Irish Independent? I don't think a few of the Irish sent that over as well. I said that's not registering with me. You don't need to send me the Irish Independence exclusive with Seamus Power.
That's a worst final round vibe, man. He shot 76 and Keith shot 77, 11 over coming out of that final pairing. That was almost, I think NBC almost forgot about them. They only showed the final putts. I think they missed their approach shots at 18.
Chandler Phillips had a good week. T3 with Mackenzie Hughes, T3 as well. I thought Mackenzie was gonna, for a while, I thought he was gonna run away with this thing today. Birdie's 10, and then he's kind of in the catbird seat at bogeys 12 and 13.
I've never been less surprised to read that Chandler Phillips is a Texas A&M guy. God, that made so much sense.
God's honest question, Randy. Had you heard of Chandler Phillips before this week?
No. That's why I had to look up who he was and where he's from and all that. I was like, oh, Texas A&M. Oh, yeah, that makes total sense. And then I watched that clip of them doing the little cheer practice before their tournament. Oh, God, take it all away.
Yeah, you had Scam Champ up near the top this week, too, for a big bulk of the week as well. We're talking about ball speed imposter.
NBC cannot resist themselves. Xander finished probably 3 hours before the final group is scheduled to come through. He had a putt to get to -8, and they
do an Olympics thing.
They faked like he had a shot to win. Of, I might wait around here. I don't know. That might be good enough. As if he was 1 shot behind. I think at the time, as if there was no tour pro that was going to run out and shoot a number a day. He finished 4 shots back in the tie for 5th, but with Carl Hugh, Ryan Moore, and Adam Hadwin. JT in round 3, he had lost over 7 strokes putting, which this is from Rick Rungood, by far the worst putting round of his career. He had 38 total putts. He had 22 feet 10 inches of total putts made, Randy.
Love
he made a
that.
2-foot 9-inch putt on the first hole and didn't make anything longer than that for the rest of the day. Justin Ray tweeted, a day after losing more than 7 strokes on the greens, JT had minus 0.47 strokes gained putting on a final round 71. In the last 3 PGA Tour seasons, there have been more than 33,000 rounds measured by shot length. Only 4 times has a player lost 7 strokes putting in that span. He had a 3-putt from 26 feet on 2. He missed from 5 feet 7 inches on 3, 5 feet 7 inches on 5. He 3-putted from 10.5 feet on 7, which included a miss from 2 feet 3 inches. He missed from 4 feet on 8 and 3-putted from 54 feet on 14.
The hole by hole, like if you just scroll through his play-by-play, it's really, really tough. But he said after the round, my putter didn't feel that bad in my hands. I've had plenty of bad putting days where I feel like I can't get it in the hole. Yesterday was not one of them. I burned a lot of edges after one of the
It was
most
a true, like, just couldn't make any putts.
historically bad putting days ever. He said his dad called him after the round. He's like, "Hey man, are you okay?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm fine. What's up?" He's like, "I saw your putting stats."
It's not like you got a yip situation going on here, because he gained on Thursday and on Friday and barely lost anything on Sunday. He was positive strokes gained putting the rest of the week except for Saturday, and he lost 7 strokes on the green. So are we worried about, a question from Brandon Dudd. Does JT or Spieth win anything this year? Should TV stop showing them as much? Those are 2 different questions, I think, but I'm curious. Do you think
I'll
JT or
pose it to you. Are you worried about JT? I think JT and Spieth are 2 different stories. Are you worried about JT?
I mean, I'm less worried than last year. He's played better golf this year than he did over the course of last year. But do I think he's like knocking down the door of a victory? Not necessarily. I mean, the putting really hasn't been good for, going back to like 2018. Like it's been quite some time since he's posted, solid putting numbers. His ball striking's way up. Iron play is back, bounced all the way back to kind of the levels that it should be. Off the tee looks very, very similar. He just still is below average putter on the PGA Tour. I mean, he's like a worse putter than Scotty.
Is it like the putting in a certain range, or is it just all distances, all lengths?
It's a great question, TC, and I don't have that answer off the top of my head. But are you guys worried? Do you think he wins a tournament this year?
Good question. I think
Let me turn that question. Does it matter? I mean, I guess a major. I don't know. I think what I'm most disappointed about, and I'll answer that question by saying this, is like these guys, these JT, Spieth, you're exactly right. They're just another guy most weeks, and that's really sad to see. So I'm disappointed there. I have no confidence. I fully don't expect either to win week to week when they tee it up anymore.
Yeah, I'm pretty worried about the Links Master, Jord. His approach play was god awful this week. Shot 74 in the second round. That's the one I'm worried about. I think JT, JT's fits and starts. He gets hot and cold, but Jordan's floor just seems too low. I'm starting to worry.
Thank you for coming around on this, TC. I've been trying to warn you about this for a couple of years now. You've been trying to talk me out of this, but it's worth noting for JT. Again, I know this is dull to a lot of people, but his strokes gain going back to 2017 by year is plus 2.24, 2.23, 1.9, 2.32, 1.92, 1.97. Then last year it fell all the way down to 1.11. Now it's back at 1.84. So like he's in line with kind of what he's done. Again, it's the putting that's still holding that back from being that above 2 number that you're really looking for. And Spieth has had a decent start to the year, but it's been all putting and chipping. And like the ball striking has really, really, really not been there. He's essentially like an average iron player now on tour, and like he was.
That's the part that sucks.
It's worrisome. Yeah, it's really not good. There was a really, really good question that we got on here, and I'm gonna try to find it here. Okay. Eat and Sleep Golf said JT, Rory, Spieth, DJ, Ricky, Brooks. How many of those guys have, without a doubt, already peaked?
My initial reaction is all of them.
I'm worried that's mine as well, Randy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I think that feels. I mean,
who has?
So how old's Ricky?
Is also my question.
Well, I mean, DJ peaked because he played like the best golf hole of all time.
Ricky's 35 years, 3 months.
I'm like, well, if that was an SAT question, Ricky's like, why is Ricky in there?
So I mean, Ricky's 5 years older than JT. Like JT's only 30. He turns 31 next month.
I would not say that JT has peaked. I mean, he's won 2 majors, but like, his major championship performance, major in, major out, however you want to say it, has not been fantastic. Like, I think he can still
No, it
really
hasn't.
elevate his major championship performances. And I don't think we've seen the best of. I think Spieth has definitely peaked. I mean, it's been 7 years since we've seen peak Spieth.
I hope JT hasn't peaked. I mean, I think it'd be good for golf if he found another gear. I'm just tired of waiting around and hoping that it comes.
He,
Does that make
he
sense?
kind of
Like,
feels like
I
that
just don't.
prospect he's like the
Yeah.
5-tool player, and he's put together, some flashes, a few good seasons, but you're like, man, like you need to be an MVP candidate every year with your level of talent. And and then he just, the other black mark on him is that all he does is win limited field events,
That's a good thing.
right?
That could be a great thing where the tour's headed
That's
for him,
true.
though,
That's
TC.
true.
Yeah.
That's true.
You never know. Stu Cink made his 500th cut on the PGA Tour. I know that was a big
Yeah.
moment for you, TC.
Somebody told me that yesterday. Party Doctor told me that yesterday. He said Sink made his. I said no. Like this had to be his 500th tournament. He's like, no, he's made 500 cuts. That's crazy. That's so many cuts.
That's impressive
I
as hell.
mean, that,
It's different than making a tournament start, as you're saying. You're not going to shit on this.
well, yeah, it's like 500 cuts. That's all right. That's basically 25 cuts a year for 20 years. I mean, that's like that. Like in 25 cuts a year, like that's unheard of, right? So really, 20 cuts a year for how many years? 15 years or no?
You've
20.
totally screwed me up with the math here.
Yeah, I
20
can't do math anymore.
25 cuts a year, 4 times would be 100. And so, you multiply that,
So 16 years.
16 years of making 25 cuts. It's pretty freaking insane.
How old is he?
He's 50. He's 50. He'll be 51 in a couple months.
It's impressive.
Which brings me on my next question. The app, it broke down on Saturday. Like,
ugh.
does it say, are we going to lose Stu Cink to live? Like, are a bunch more players now going to go to live because the app crashed?
I think there's 4 or 5 more that are going to go because of the app and then because of credentialed as well.
Credentialed was tough, guys. It was tough.
Why were you watching it, Randy?
But well, because DJ said something about it in our Slack, and I was sitting on the couch and flipped it on, and then it's like you just start getting angry and hate watching it, and one thing turns into another, and I've watched it for 35 minutes, and literally, it taught me nothing. They went through the Mr. Palmer, slurping Mr. Palmer, a history of Bay Hill. The only mildly thing that I didn't know about was they profiled like a local artist who was doing some charity golf, like in your face golf artwork, which whatever. But it's just like, what are we doing? What is this for? Who is this serving? It was tough.
Probably a sponsor, Randy. That's almost always the answer. There was a big meeting down in the Bahamas this week. The highlight for me was definitely the flight tracking. Shout out to Radar Atlas, just absolutely. He was on the tails of the PGA Tour plane, both planes that were coming over from Saudi Arabia, all the John Henrys, all the SSG planes coming in and out. Who was the celebrity that was also flying down in Nassau, Bahamas that they threw in there? Like Tyler Perry. Tyler Perry was headed down there
from Atlanta.
Have to assume he's involved with SSG. Honestly, not a lot of leaks came out of this. We've heard a couple things that aren't really reportable, but didn't sound like things were especially close. Was the only not hearing that from somebody that was definitely not in the room for that, but did not sound like that. It was all like, hey, let's all get back together. We're super close on this one. That's not the vibe I got.
Yeah, it sounded like Yasser doubling down on Liv. Like, hey, no, like Liv's gonna be a part of this, guys. Liv's gonna be, continuing on. It's gonna outlive me, which HE might live forever, right? So we'll see.
Monahan made a statement to the players. He said the conversation throughout was constructive and represents an important part of our due diligence process in selecting potential investors for PGA Tour enterprises. This mirrors the approach we employed earlier this year as we evaluated an investment offer from Strategic Sports Group. During the session, Yasser had the chance to introduce himself to our player directors, talk through his vision, priorities, and motivations for investing in professional golf. As we continue these discussions with the PIF, we will keep you updated as much as possible, but please understand that we need to maintain our position of not conducting negotiations in public. To that end, we will provide no further comments to the media at this time. Eamon Lynch had an article in Golf Week as well. I found a part of it particularly interesting. He said, if you ask John Henry, the leader of the Strategic Sports Group, who just invested $1.5 billion in the tour, he might argue that his product would be measurably improved if the aforementioned defectors were in the fold again. But despite the pablum about unifying the game and seeing the best compete together again, many tour members are disincentivized to see that happen, which is why active players should not be on this jury. What's best for individual members, even a large constituency of them, isn't necessarily best for the tour's commercial prospects. But convincing members of a member-led organization that their interests are not the same as the tour's interests is akin to persuading Irish Republicans that their best future lies in allegiance to the British monarchy. I found that to be just an interesting note of like the quagmire that we have here of like the PGA Tour players have a majority on this board, and like, yeah, you're not necessarily incentivized to take a long-term approach on this one as it stands now.
Tend to agree with his larger point. I'm not going to touch the Irish Republican,
especially as a royalist as yourself, Randy.
Exactly.
Your guy King Charles using all sorts
we
of
appreciate
potions right now.
your thoughts and well wishes, yes, during this troubling last few days. But yeah, it reminds me of like, you know, any typical situation that's kind of, you know, like Sully, I was thinking back to with the Great Recession, and you know, the banks would have been in their interest to like step back and stop making subprime mortgages, right, at the height of like that being a money machine. No, but would it have been like best for the overall economy and like world? Of course. And so I think that's the point Eamon was trying to make, and I think it's a fair one. But I don't know, you know, I don't know who,
how you prevent it.
like,
Yeah.
right, we can say it's the right point, but yeah, what's it going to change, or how is that going to change anything? I don't think anybody's equipped to be able to make a unilateral decision for the tour.
Where
So,
are the
you know, it's
parents?
like, yeah, right. At the end of the day, it's like we're not going to. Yeah, it just makes it more depressing, I guess.
Yeah. He continued on, the equity being distributed to players is an opportunity to reset the parameters of their role in tour governance. They are shareholders, not owners. Activist shareholders, sure, but not the ultimate decision makers. That distinction was lost when players used discord over the secretive framework agreement to demand a built-in majority on the board, which they also hold at the new for-profit entity, PGA Tour Enterprises. So
I'll flip that on its head though a little bit. Of, you know, they didn't have the majority before, and Jay, like, the thing is now it's like, all right, you have a majority, get your block together and send a message to Jay and to the independent directors on the board and say, all right, we got the majority now, and do something with it. Instead of just, the worst thing in the world is just going with this status quo that nobody's happy, players or fans or sponsors, and everything's just getting shittier and shittier. It's like at some point, all right, players, if you're going to grab the steering wheel here, then you know what? Grab the steering wheel and do something with it. Either like wreck the car, but do it quick, right? So we can get towed and rebuild it. You know,
sounds like an insurance scam here, but that might be the play right here.
Yeah. It's I don't know. I'm so over it, man. It's exhausting.
But more good news, the players drew 3.5 million viewers, which is down from 4.1 in 23 and down from 4.6 JT winning in 2021, which is
funny too, because it was like a far better tournament this time around too.
But I think that's the sentiment though, man. Like when you have like no momentum rolling in, it's not top of mind. Like honestly, my F1 viewing habits are way down because the competitive structure has been kind of totally boned, and like I don't think to watch it. Like Carlos Sainz had a win today. Verstappen did not win. I missed the whole thing because
Haas had two. He had two guys in the points.
Did they really? I totally missed that. See, it's like when you lose your momentum and lose the buzz, you know, it's reflected there. It did not surprise me, despite a good finish, good tournament, that it's not top of mind for people to flip that on. So,
Yeah, I don't know. It's bleak. Saw a couple guys I wanted to shout out on the Valspar leaderboard. If I can go down the board for a sec here, just to go back.
Randy, you're going to regulate this. I'm always the bad guy. You
Yeah.
regulate it, okay?
Okay.
I do have to give the Canadians.
I want to talk LPGA.
We're gonna get there.
and I know TC does too.
I do too.
know.
I just want to shout out the Canadians. Hadwin had a T5. Obviously, we talked about Mackenzie Hughes earlier, and then they had somebody else in the mix too. I think Svensson was playing well. He kind of ejected this weekend. Roger Sloan made a cut. Let's see here. We got Carl Yuan. It keeps popping up. Bez keeps popping up. I think Billy Horschel's starting to heat up in a big way. Just want to get that out there. I think right in time for the Harbor Town. Although Billy might not get into Harbor Town, but like the Zurich, kind of that post Masters stretch that he tends to feed on a little bit.
He was T12,
and then
if you're not following at home. Yeah.
Okay. And then otherwise, I just wanted to call out Sungjae shot 80 and missed the cut. I'm like Sungjae needs to start getting some of the Cam Young treatment as well, because those two to me are like, they're kind of like Beavis and Butthead.
I'm over Sungjae. I mean, you've had your time to make a move here, and you're just doing absolutely nothing with this. You are in a category of your own. I don't think he deserves to be mentioned in the same sentence as Cam Young. I know he has a win, but I don't think he deserves it.
Wow, strong statement.
I mean, when has he ever been a factor? Like, what was the last time Sungjae was a factor in a tournament?
I'm with you. Hell yeah, Solly. I'm riding right here shotgun with you.
I'm serious.
Nobody got more love for being like the best ball striker in the world, but it's like, well, what does that amount to?
Yeah.
It's a nice check.
Randy, I want to go to LPGA too, because first and foremost, the Fur Hills.
Hold on,
group.
Before we get there, we got to get. There's a reason why I got to play quarterback here, TC. All right, I know you're active. We're all active. We all want to get active. When you are active, you should be wearing Rhoback activewear. I got the. What do you call this one? Which one's this called? Fleece pullover?
Like crew neck.
Crew neck. I got the crew neck on tonight.
Dude, the crew necks are fantastic.
So good. You all know Rhoback, best fit, best feel. You know what the great thing about the crew neck is, Randy? The subtle dog. It's so I didn't even see it until today. It's so subtle. It's hidden in the bottom left corner of the crew neck. They got restocks of our favorite polos, hoodies, and Q-zips. I had to mix it up a little bit today because I've been absolutely wearing out the hoodies. The performance polos are fantastic material, moisture wicking. It's got great stretch. The collar is crisp. The performance hoodies are legit the best hoodies in the game. Fabric is so soft. We cannot take them off. And then the Q-zips are fantastic. They're back. They got so many great designs, so many cool integrations, the zippers and stripes and plaids and all these fantastic materials that come with it. They will have you feeling good and looking good. If you haven't already, load up on some Rhoback for yourself and for others. Code NLU at Rhoback.com. Generous 20% off your first order through the end of this week. That's RHOBACK.com. 20% off bottoms, Q-zips, hoodies, crew necks, and more with code NLU. Get ready for the golf season with Rhoback. Second ad here just for Fur Hills. I don't know what you do, but I'm going to look it up after this because I got to shout you out. You put on a fantastic tournament at a really great golf course. And I don't know if the ratings are probably not going to be good. They almost never are. But gosh, it was just a delight to flip on that golf tournament this weekend.
Solly, Fur Hills, can I give you their corporate tagline?
Yeah, I think you're going to like this.
Catalyzing growth for perpetual prosperity. I mean, they're taking the torch from Grupo Salinas and running with it in a big way. But no, that was proper conditions, good golf course, much like Valspar, like the Copperhead course at Innisbrook. You can't fake it down there in Palos Verdes. It was, and I was really happy to see Nelly winning in some tough conditions, a little cooler. She can kind of be a little bit of a dome golfer at times, and she's starting to stack up some wins.
Yeah, she is. She alluded to that a little bit in her interview after winning. She said the conditions the last couple of days, it forces you to hit some golf shots and play a bit artistic, which honestly for her is, I was like, that's a big deal to hear her talking about that, because Nelly historically has been like obsessed with the swing and the mechanics of the swing and optimizing the look of her swing. And it is a gorgeous golf swing. But the question has always been, TC, is she much of a mutter? Can she grind? And some wobbles down the stretch, which we can talk about. But man, when she needed to, she made that putt in the playoff hole right in the heart. That was impressive, and really her play this weekend overall was pretty impressive in some tough conditions.
I mean, wind was absolutely whipping. I mean, it was about as strong as I can remember for watching an LPGA Tour event. I mean, it was cold out there. That some fire earmuffs were brought out by a lot of the players. There's some great.
Yeah, I need those Titleist earmuffs that Ryan O'Toole had on.
They're,
Those were awesome.
some fire outfits going as well, if I may say. But it was what's the par 5 on the back nine? Was it the 16th hole? I mean,
16.
there's so much land movement. They actually one of the weird things about it was, the kind of dial back LPGA coverage, not as many cameras. Some of the really long range stuff that they shot really showed off the landscape really well. I mean, shooting like probably from the tee to the middle of the fairways, showing how blind a lot of these shots were. And there was a shot she hit into 17 that, I mean, they stayed on her from the fairway and they showed her like running up to the top of the hill. And you could see, even from the tee camera, you could see how high her ball bounced in front of the green. Like, that's how firm it was out there, and how downwind it was. And she hit two awesome shots into both of the par 5s on the back nine, made eagle on the first one, and then two putted for birdie on the second one. Bogeyed the last 2 holes, which was tough, but man, it was very seriously tough out there. Like, it was about as the wind was affecting putts. Allison Lee got done pretty dirty on a couple shortish range putts that were just did not take the break because the wind held them up. But I mean, that was some really good golf and some really fun conditions.
Yeah, playoff hole, birdie, birdie the playoff hole to win. That's proper shit, guys. It was going in like the leaderboard. What was that, like midway through Saturday? I remember texting you guys, being like, "Oh, this is serious.
really good.
This is like a major
Yeah.
championship
Yeah.
leaderboard here." Yeah, Gabby Ruffles played well. Allison Lee, Andrea Lee, Gi Shin was kind of out in front for a while. Randy, we were talking about Sarah Schmelzel having a really good
Another
Asian
good
swing.
week for her.
Yeah, she's starting to,
Yeah.
kind of put a few in a row together.
I want to pause on Gabby Ruffles for a second. I mean, she, famously forgot to sign up for LPGA Tour Q School, dominated on the Epson Tour, and had a putt on 18. She was not her best effort on a putt, but she had a very good look on 18 to get into a playoff. But almost running down Nelly Korda on that golf course that's some serious golfing.
I'm glad you said that, because she had a pretty good birdie look on 17 as well, the par 3 there. Gabby, I think Gabby's somebody that we've always said is one of those players that the tougher the conditions get, I feel like Gabby's gonna rise up the leaderboard. Like, she just is so steady, so solid. And that played out this weekend. I mean, her Saturday 65 was exceptional. And then to follow it up today with a 70. Bit of bad luck on the 9th. She doubled. I was disappointed she didn't give it a better run, that birdie putt on 18. It just was never high enough, never fast enough. But awesome result for Gabby, and somebody that has fully earned her card for this year and is just getting going now, being a full-time LPGA player. I expect big things from her.
She'll win this season for sure.
I think so too. And then back to Nelly real quick. I mean, I don't want to gloss
before we move off that, like, just to pause on that to say, like, a lot of LPGA setups can just be dart contests, wedge contests, and just aren't not very good tests. This is a totally different category. Like, if you go do it in that conditions with that field, and this is a huge leap for Gabby Ruffles. Like, that is, I don't know, that really does stick out to me.
Yeah, amen. And then just getting back to Nelly, I mean, I think we should acknowledge it's her 10th LPGA Tour victory. She did not win on the LPGA last year. I battled some injuries, is fully healthy, and now has won 2 starts in a row, 2 of her 3 starts in 2024, and everybody's projecting will grab the number 1 ranking in the world from Lilia Vu. So, TC, I know we talked about a lot in our LPGA shows, and just wanting to see Nelly's reaction after the year Lilia Vu had last year, winning 4 times, 2 majors, like really taking the crown of not only best American golfer, but best golfer in the world. It's really heartening to see Nelly come back early in the year, get a couple of wins, and it just makes me really excited for what's in store the rest of the year.
Yeah.
Nelly was putting it awful towards the end of last year, really worked on that,
Looks healthy.
and I think, yeah, starting to pay it off a little bit, which is sweet.
One other thing I'm super glad to see is quite a few European flags on that leaderboard. You got Gemma, you got Lynn Grant, Leona McGuire, Frida Kinholt, Linnea Strom. You got all sorts of. That's kind of been a you know they've kind of been lurking below the surface a little bit. It's another Solheim Cup
Yeah.
year, and you need the European team to really probably have a little bit more depth than they did last year coming across the pond.
You
So
need them to have a little more
Charlie
depth coming this way across the
Charlie Hall was up
yeah,
there. She doubled 17 and bogeyed 18 to kind of fall back, but she was mounting a pretty strong charge at points today. Tweaked her back, it sounded like on the telecast, so maybe something to keep an eye on. But
I tell you,
yeah, this
yeah.
was just Palos Verdes is just
Oh,
a quirky golf course. You know, the LPGA especially does not go to many golf courses. There are some, but not many where you're like, damn, I'd really like to play
Yeah,
that golf course. But watching Palos Verdes, like, I would love to go out there and play it. It looks like a lot of fun shots.
yeah. One other person I want to shout out, Lucy Lee. I think she's got an inside track at a Solheim Cup spot on the US side as well. Like she keeps playing well. Get some more young talent on that team too. So
start of the year for the LPGA Tour. Lydia Ko won the Hilton Grand Vacations. Nelly Korda won the Drive On. Patty Tavatanakit won the Honda LPGA. Hannah Green won the HSBC. Bailey Tardy, Randy's girl, won the Blue Bay LPGA, and then now Nelly wins yet again. Incredibly hot start for the LPGA Tour, and they have the Chevron Championship. Not quite a major, but close to a major coming up right after the Masters. So.
well, they've got a
It's
new
it's
one
a
this week.
signature event.
They got the Ford Championship in Arizona this week, and then they go to Shadow Creek for the it's gonna be a really good week for
Yeah.
women's golf in a couple weeks when they have ANWA and the LPGA match play out at Shadow Creek. It's gonna be awesome.
Which I know we're getting a little ahead of ourselves, but again, we talked about it on our last Thursday show. But the match play this year is, what was it, TC? Like 96 players, and they're playing 36 holes and cutting down to 8 for the match play. So
Hmm.
they're trying a little bit of a new format at match play, which I dig. Excited to watch them play stroke play around Shadow Creek too, because that's a place that some really entertaining golf holes and possibly some high numbers out there in stroke play.
TC's guy Jesper Svensson wins in a playoff at the Porsche Singapore Open, I believe it is. Do you guys see that they have
This is Singapore Classic.
Singapore Classic? Excuse me, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Do you see they have a replica 17 Sawgrass hole that plays like 190 yards on that course? It's sick.
I did. There were a few things I wanted to shout out. First of all, I think this is a BDE,
Of course,
obviously.
yeah, of course.
Being a classic, not an open.
Yeah, and it's a nation state. It's not necessarily, a nation, right?
True. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it is it's the 17th hole at Augusta or at TPC Sawgrass with rocks all around it instead of the bulkheads, which is
That's sick.
sick.
I didn't see it, but now I want to see it.
No, it was a pretty good final round. I mean, Svensson shot 63 and kind of snatched it from Kiradek. So the DP World Tour did a couple good uh, social clips this week. They had Kiradek get in the booth afterwards and kind of talk about losing today, and that was pretty on the nose and very
Just on the pulse there. They were
yeah. It was very open, honest, raw from Kiradek, which was cool. And then the other thing was they had a golfers as emojis, similar to the Wyndham
the blow pig.
the blow pig thing from last week, and they posted that. That was like the highlight of the day for me today. I mean, some of those were really, really, really good. The Ernie Els one, ear, knee,
and
and
then two
then
L's.
and then two L's.
So yeah, if you didn't see the video
Uh,
yet, they flashed some emojis up, and you had to like sound them out to try to guess who the player was. And
was
it's
really
not
good.
obvious. It was really not obvious, but it was very fun to go along with.
Some of them got them so much quicker than I thought they would, too. I mean, there was some really, really like avant-garde emoji selections in there. So good to see Andy Sullivan playing well too. He was solo 4th this week. Paul Casey, solo 6th. Your guy, Solly.
Former Ryder Cupper, Andy Sullivan. Bet you didn't remember
Yeah.
that. Now to the highlight. This is the one thing TC said he was most excited to talk about. I'm gonna take us there, TC. Take us to back out to LA.
Yeah. Big write up. This was like beginning of the week. I think LA Times had a big article. Golf Week picked it up. Basically, the public courses owned and operated by the city of Los Angeles. I think there's 9 of them, of which there's a couple par 3 courses and such. All the tee times are basically being bought up by these. I think they're Koreans. These Korean brokers. And so, and they charge people, like the city raises probably $500,000 to $600,000 a year off of these, resident golf passes, but they're not actually checking that people are residents either. And then, you buy one of these memberships and then you get access to, tee times. I think they give the olds first access to tee times too. Like they get it, more than a week out, and then everybody else can sign up. But by the time everybody else wants to sign up for a tee time, they're all gone. You can't get one. And you have to basically go onto one of these like messenger apps like Kakao, which is huge in Korea, and barter or pay off Venmo one of these guys who's hoovering up all these tee times, and essentially pay them off and pay like $30 or $40 booking fee for one of these tee times. And so it's just this whole cabal. There's this teaching pro slash social media influencer, Dave Fink, who started this hashtag free the tea movement among his Instagram followers and everything. He's been going to city council meetings and different things. I'm fired up about this. I think people out in LA should be fucking pissed. Like they have some good, really, really cool public courses out there. And like literally like citizens just straight up can't play them because, and the pro shops are total like, and it sounds like somebody within the city government is being paid off to keep this going. Nobody knows anything about it. They don't know how to solve it. You walk into one of the pro shops and they're like, hey, this is above our pay grade. This is like and so really the only way to get on is either pay the extortion fee to one of these guys or go wait for a cancellation at the golf club.
Jesus.
That day. So we're talking Griffith Park, Rancho Park, things of that nature. And these are like $35, $40 tee times. Like they're not like they're charging as much for the booking fee as they are for the actual tee time, which I think it's probably time just in general to have a national conversation about tee times. And because I think golf now is like a criminal criminal cabal as well. Like they are like, like the courses have to give them a certain amount of tee times a day, right? That they can use for their Golf Now hot deals or whatever. And that's how Golf Now makes money. They're extortionist, in my opinion. So I think we need to bring tee times back to pro shops. You should be able to call up, if you want to book online, it should be on their website, not on some Golf Now website. And it should be course by course.
All right, just gonna
Amen.
cross off
TC.
Golf Now as potential sponsors of the No Laying Up podcast. But no, I mean it's the how did it take this long to figure out that this was happening? Like that's the part that I don't really understand. Like we've heard from a couple of friends in LA that were like suspicious of this for years. Like if you had to pay someone off, that's the part I can't really fully understand. Is like if this kind of barter deal was happening, why did it take this long to get exposed?
Well, I think part of it is because I mean, LA's got a good newspaper, the LA Times, but I think it's one of those things where there's just not enough oversight. There's not enough good local journalism. So I guess these golfers now are filing a class action lawsuit against the city of Los Angeles for the LA Times. So yeah, it sounds like there's, and it's Koreans turning on Koreans too. Some of the people filing the lawsuit are also Korean as well. So yeah, I'm really excited about this. I think this story has legs. I think it's going to get really nasty out there.
Watch this space. I want to give a hearty congratulations to our guy Neil and his wife Carson, the birth of their son Peter. I believe it was 8 days ago now. When was it? Yeah, about 8 days ago.
The 16th.
They
Yeah.
brought
They
baby
named him
doing.
after Peter Malnati.
I know that's prescient naming there. Baby and mama are doing well from what we hear, and want to send them a congratulations. Obviously, Neil's going to be out for some time on paternity leave as the head of HR as well. He can probably make his own policy for how long he's going to be out. But congrats to them, and congrats to TC. You're an uncle now.
I am. Neil texted the other night. He said, when I put the baby down in the bassinet, he's sleeping, and then I put him down, and he wakes up and he starts crying. I was like, that's what babies do, man.
Was he asking what to do to you?
He's just like, man, like the graveyard shift's tough, and I'm getting these 3 hours of sleep when Carson clocks back in at 6 a.m. or whatever, and all that. And I'm like, yeah, man, like it gets a lot worse before it gets better.
Oh yeah, dude, you got like 6 weeks at least of that, man. That's what we had. Oh yeah. But again, congratulations to them. Very excited. Yeah, we'll obviously just informing the listeners there. If you don't hear from Neil for a while, that's probably why. I said at the beginning as well, we have a new No Laying Up podcast YouTube channel. We of course have the No Laying Up channel. We made a separate channel just for the podcast for a variety of reasons. We're going to have some content out that kind of explains a lot of that. But for those of you that want to watch the video versions of these non-live podcasts and our interviews, they will live on that channel. So go ahead and subscribe there.
We've got, for our Nest members out there, we've got a NLU outtakes from, was that season 4
Yep.
of Torah Sauce from Ireland. We've got that. That's a hearty helping of outtakes there. Neil did some voiceover work for us as well. And yeah, stoked for that. We've got, and I think update on the Torah Sauce season 9 release still slated for week after the Masters. Was that the week of the
April 17th, I think, is our debut date. If you're excited to watch
Wednesday night.
That's right.
The beginning of the Australia season. And we got the video cannon's getting loaded up. It's going to come hard and fast here eventually. We're deep in the editing bay, but once it does start flowing, that faucet's going to run through the end of the summer at least. So you're going to see a lot of video content coming. But we're getting through it. I promise we're working on it.
You guys have some travel coming up here. Anything you want to tease or talk about on the front end?
We do have some travel. Yeah, we're going to Scotland this week. Going to Royal Troon, Randy, and then we're gonna gallivant over to the East Coast and play a few rounds over there, and then we're gonna play the old course in reverse, and the old course in the regular counterclockwise routing as well. So stoked for that. Weather could be bleak. We'll see.
That's in the models. That's definitely modeled for. But no, we're going to be, and of course, we're going to be capturing.
No, that sounds awesome.
Capturing all of that. There'll be a ton of videos that'll be coming out later this summer around those. So it gives a bit of time on those. But you know what? We got to stop traveling, TC, when it's the best time of year in Jax. But I'm really looking forward to getting over there. I miss it a lot, and I'm excited to play some links golf. It's been a little while. So
I got beat in my match play bracket at the club the other day.
I'm sorry.
I've been running through some of the olds. And guys stopped me in my tracks in some tough weather. So I was given 8 shots, but he beat me. He stepped up. I was keeping him in play all day. All that. So no asterisks or anything like that. Speaking of asterisks, Randy, I want to give a shout out to Asterisk Kelly. Asterisk Tally, who won the Sage Valley Junior Invitational on the girls' side, and Giovanni Benaghi won on the boys' side. But I've never seen anybody named Asterisk.
We also had our fantasy baseball draft this past week. Our little 10-team league. Max Homa's in the league with us. It's going to be. You'll probably hear us shit talking about some of that throughout the course of the year. Should we make that league publicly available? Leave it in the comments if you want us to make the league.
I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah, you can make it publicly viewable so people can come in and harass you about decisions you make. But if we get enough subscribers on the new podcast channel, how about that? If we get to 5,000 by the end of this week, we'll make the league publicly viewable. How about that?
You might be disincentivizing people from subscribing.
That's a very good point. I'll be honest.
Like I to hear about your fantasy baseball league? No, thank you.
I've played plenty of fantasy baseball in my day, not for the last 15 years or so, though. I maybe knew like a handful of guys.
TC, I think this is year 0. Like we all gotta get reacclimated here by next year. There's a keeper element to this league. There's gonna be all kinds of fun stuff. We'll keep posted on that. Hopefully you're excited.
Keep people posted on my IL strategy because it's provocative.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how that's gonna play out.
Solly, we got the Houston Open this week. It's gonna slap.
Houston Open. A few of us are going to be out of the country. Randy and KVV, I think, are holding down the fort for next week. I'm looking forward to that. I'm greatly looking forward to that.
Yeah.
So,
Scott Scheffler, Blowpig, Sahith, Jason Day, Finau, Zalatoris are the 6 guys in the top 30 in the Crooked OWGR who are in the field.
Is Scheffler going to be like 3-1 to win that?
Probably. I mean, they've got to already have odds up, right?
I haven't seen any as of now, but I'd be surprised if he was more than 5-1 to win. I don't think he can be more than 5-1 to win. No, he won't even be 4-1. I don't think, because he was 550 plus 550, I think, to win the Players. I'd be surprised if they had odds up on Sunday. Usually they wait till Monday, but if you're listening, you probably can find that somewhere. We're gonna move to wrap here. Thank you everyone for tuning in. We'll see you back here next week. We'll have a pod. We have a pod on Tuesday coming out. It's called Improving the Product. Me, TC, DJ, and KVV sat down and just kind of drilled down into what the heck that actually means. What, not only just the criticisms we have of the current structure, but actual tangible things you can do to improve the product, what the product is. Whole bunch of that conversation. That is pre-recorded. That's going to be out on Tuesday. We're going to have another deep dive episode the following Tuesday as we get prepared to roll into Masters Week the next week, which is kind of crazy. That's coming up that fast. So that is going to be it for this week of the No Laying Up podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you back here next week. Cheers.
Crack on.